God, I just listened to this whole podcast. It was terrible. I feel like my ears are gonna bleed.
What'd you say? This is Darby Allen, and you're listening to Gimme a Oh Yeah podcast.
Hello, and a very warm Christmas Eve welcome to the Gimme a Oh Yeah Wrestling podcast. My name is Ant. Today I'm joined by...
Tom.
Rudolph. Rudolph to my Santa.
Tom.
We hope you're all having a fabulous holidays if you are, or if you're breaking off tomorrow and what have you. Stay safe, everyone, and look after each other. Rock and roll. Dom, we are doing our predictions today. Oh, not our predictions. Our list that we've compiled after fierce negotiations, Dom.
Indeed. Fierce negotiations. It's not quite as hard as getting a deal for Brexit and they give you a whole year wrestling podcast. We can negotiate.
Oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. It is a bit like drawing blood. Straight away, your number one pick, I like, And then number one went to number 10. So what is our number one pick, Dom? Number 10 pick, excuse me?
Number 10 pick, Anthony, because we're a democracy, not a dictatorship. And we have to get through this, is Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt is the number 10 pick for Superstar of the Year because of his exceptional gimmick work this year, his exceptional character work this year as the Fiend and multiple other personalities. Yes, that is our number 10 pick, Anthony.
I hate the fact he's on this list.
And he should be on this list.
He shouldn't be on this list. He
should be on this list.
He shouldn't.
He should be on this list.
The start of the year, he lost the title to Goldberg. Then he had the Firefly Funhouse, which was a mess. Then he had that Braun Strowman feud, which was so up and down. I mean, the swamp match thing where Braun Strowman lost his hair. Then he lost the title to Roman Reigns, did he? Did he win it off Braun and then lose it straight to Roman Reigns?
No. He won it off Braun and then Roman Reigns beat Braun for the championship.
But yeah, he lost it to Roman Reigns a week later. And then,
no, he didn't lose.
He did. He lost. He was in a match with Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
it was part of that matchup,
Roman
right?
Reigns
Yeah.
Pinned Braun Strowman.
But he lost the match, yeah? No, he lost the match.
No, he didn't lose the match at all. Braun Strowman.
Right, okay, cool.
Right,
so,
come on, let's
so,
go.
so the title just disappeared. No, I won't stop it. No, I won't stop it.
Is the superstar of 2021.
Get lost.
You know it.
Get lost.
Right? Everybody
Rubbish.
else knows.
Rubbish.
He is the lead merchandise seller. He is the most over gimmick in WWE.
But that doesn't mean he's been the superstar of the year. The superstar of the year is the person that's had good matches, good feuds, good important.
In WWE, Bray Wyatt nailed it. Right, carry on. Up the list. Let's go.
I'd love to hear your comments below. What do you think? I want to hear all your comments, actually. I want to hear your superstar picks, your top 10 superstar picks of the year, even if it's top 5. Bang them in the list. It'd be awesome to go through and read all of yours. Like the video if you're enjoying it and subscribe. Right, we'll get into the real list now.
The real list has already begun with Fiend Bray Wyatt, number 9.
Screw democracy. Number 9 is Randall Keith Orton.
Indeed, Randy Orton has put on some of his best work this year.
Yeah,
really entertaining feuds with people across the board, particularly Edge. You could also put the Bray Wyatt feud in there, but there's been multiple other ones where Randy Orton has really come into his own and done some amazing stuff.
The biggest one's been Drew McIntyre, hasn't
because
it?
He's cared. Because he's cared. He's cared against Drew. He's cared, against Edge as well. So Randy Orton, because he's cared this year, it makes the list.
Shame he don't care about Bray, innit? He's been great this year. His promos have been great. His attitude's been great. He's really done some seriously good work, and that's the exact reason that he's on the list. I think he's had a really good year. At number 8, we have it's boss time, Dom. It's Sasha Banks, baby.
Indeed, yeah. Cracking matches, really coming to her own this year. Obviously started off in the tag team with Bayley, gain enough attention to get cast in The Mandalorian as well. Fantastic year outside of wrestling for Sasha Banks. But yeah, very entertaining, just very entertaining across the board. Really, really cool. Really, some of her promos have been hit and miss. Some of them have been absolutely fantastic, particularly her work with Bayley, of course. But she definitely deserves to be in this list, Anthony.
Yeah, I think she needs to work on her promos a bit. But her matches have been really good. She's taken a lot of wrestling matches and they've really paid off this year. Like the most entertaining parts of SummerSlam was Bayley, Asuka and Sasha Banks, And I think Bayley Bayley and Sasha Banks, perhaps to a lesser extent, but certainly still as part of that, really carried the company, really carried WWE during the hardest 6 months they've probably ever faced in terms of creating a product with no fans. And for me, that's why they're on this list, because they did a really good job at that. And I think... And I think her matches have been great. I mean, she's had the Hell in a Cell match. We've just seen the Carmella match at TLC, which was really good. As I say, the SummerSlam match, which was really good at SummerSlam, obviously against Asuka. Yeah, great matches, man. Great matches.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, just a great character. She's a great character.
Yeah. Cool. Number 7, we've gone for AJ Styles.
Hang on. Have we jumped one?
No.
Bray Wyatt.
Bray is 10. Randy Orton is 9.
All right, yeah, okay, cool.
Sasha is 8.
Cool. It's been a long day. Carry on.
I know it's been a long day for you. You just tried to like dig at my accounting. AJ, number 7.
Yeah, I mean, AJ Styles speaks for himself. Quality matches, through the year. He's not always been featured that prominently, but whenever he has done, he's put, Daniel Bryan, the Randy Orton match as well was good. I mean, he makes anybody look good. AJ Styles makes anybody look good. Yeah,
that triple threat match with him, Sammy, and Jeff was outstanding. The Drew McIntyre match was the best Drew McIntyre match of the year.
Yeah.
I think he really shines everyone. In terms of championships and stuff, I don't think he's necessarily had that big a deal. And sort of Survivor Series, he was part of the Survivor Series team. Sort of the leader of that, but at the same time, not as big deal as previous years. I feel like he's quite low on the list compared to where he normally is, but he's still, every time he's in the ring, he's outstanding to watch, isn't he?
Absolutely. I think we always put him, I don't think he's ever been an honourable mention. I do think he's always, he's always been in the list somewhere.
Pretty damn solid wrestler and consistently good. At number 6, we maybe have a controversial one, and I don't think we agreed on this at first, and you certainly had to lower him down slightly, and it's Cody Rhodes. Mm-hmm. Cody Rhodes from AEW. I think he's had a really good year, and I think in terms of kayfabe vibes, I think that his championship run has actually been my most entertaining championship run of the year. His open challenge, where you saw the likes of Eddie Kingston come into the company and Ricky Starks and Warhorse, followed by the Brody Lee feud, which I thought was really well done. The dog and collar match, even the stuff with Orange Cassidy, I thought it was entertaining. Even though I didn't always agree with the end of the matches. So while I don't think his matches are always perfect, he's very solid in the ring, and so I think that's why he deserves a spot, and quite high on the list as well, because I think it has been a big year for Cody Rhodes. Yeah,
I think he deserves a spot on the list, 100%. I think he's. I like I say, I didn't dispute that he needed to be on the list. It was just that I wouldn't have put him so high up. I think he's done some amazing work for putting over talents like your War Horses, like your Eddie Kingstons, like your Darby Allins this year. You could argue that Darby Allin's popularity is probably responsible, is a direct response to the work that Cody Rhodes has done with him.
I'd completely agree. Yeah.
Cody Rhodes has done some amazing work across the board.
From the first match I had at Fyter Fest over a year ago. Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. So I think all around, as an all-rounder, Cody Rhodes absolutely deserves to be on this list. And some of his matches, particularly the Eddie Kingston one, you were big on. In terms of bringing Eddie Kingston in there, Darby Allin, of course, he's had great matches with, and Brody Lee, of course. Again, just putting on fantastic matches with guys that have come in with something to prove, and they've used Cody as a springboard to prove what they need to do to be taken seriously on an AEW roster.
Yeah, and also he's quite a serious wrestler as well. He's not as sort of flashy as other people can be, and sort of comes up with creative spots. You never quite know what's going to happen in a Cody match. And his promos, man. His promos are fire. From the stuff he did when we got COVID early on, and the promos where he said, look, we are going to try out and do our best to continue to entertain you guys, was bloody outstanding, man. I mean, it's so good. Yeah,
you don't really get that exposition with WWE.
No.
So it's great to see that with AEW.
Absolutely. Let's go to our number 5 on the list, and it is another AEW. Dom, it is the Young Bucks. Quite another controversial one, I think.
I think obviously two people here, tag team. Again, brilliant work behind the scenes in AEW to help it get to where it is. Great tag team matches with the with FTR, with Omega, and with Paige, of course, which we've mentioned in previous videos. Both of them. Both of them have been consistently good at putting over other talent. You know what I mean? They've had some really good matches recently with younger tag teams.
Man.
And again, really helping to put over emerging talent, which is what people in their position can do. And sometimes, of course, we don't always see that from people and teams and individuals. But the Young Bucks have been very good at putting people over, very good at creating high spots. Where the Sammy Guevara super kick comes to mind.
Yeah.
They're great at high spots, and they are fundamentally very safe in the ring with all the work they do. So like I say, props to the Young Bucks, and they do absolutely as the pillars. The pillars holding up AEW, two strong pillars. They absolutely deserve to be in this list for their work this year.
I was thinking about it earlier and was looking through, because we've got a video coming out in 2 days, which is our best matches of the year, and the Young Bucks are actually part of 3 of their matches. And I think that's part of the reason I wouldn't have expected them to have been on this list. But actually, when you look at it, they've been consistently strong competitors,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, check that out. That video is coming out in a couple of days. It'll come out on Boxing Day, the 10 greatest matches of 2020. But for now, the Young Bucks, that's why they're in at number 5, man. The only slight hiccup I think they had was that weird heel turn that then changed into not.
Yeah, when they were super kicking cameramen.
Which was great, but then they went face out of no reason. But matches have been outstanding, and constantly pushing that tag division and at the top of the best tag division in the world.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more, mate.
Number 4, we have the Scottish psychopath. It's Drew McIntyre.
I mean, we can't. What a year going from underdog, going from what a history, going from UK independence to 3MB to WWE champion, and being trusted as the face of the brand. And I think it's incredible. I think he's put on some absolutely stellar matches, particularly with Randy Orton. His stuff with Randy was great because Randy Orton he was giving a monkeys at the time, But then the AJ Styles stuff was great as well. Drew McIntyre was made into not necessarily a box office draw in the same way that The Rock is or Stone Cold is, but certainly a credible main eventer. A credible main event that they can rely on to be in the main event consistently for the next 5 years plus.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre will be a fixture now, and he was not in that conversation before that. No. He wasn't in that conversation in the early 2000. Well, it was early 2020, but certainly last year he was not at all in that conversation. No. So, and I'm pleased because we've got to see Drew McIntyre flourish this year, and of course I got to speak to Drew McIntyre earlier this year for an interview that you can see on the channel. But yeah, so Drew's done some amazing work and obviously been a part of Gimme a Whole Year, which is great.
Absolutely, our sidekick to Gimme a Whole Year. The year's been a very interesting one for Drew, and in terms of someone that's up to the value, I don't think you could argue anyone's done it more than Drew. So from sort of the Royal Rumble at the very start of the year, that he was the guy that got Brock out after that cracking sort of 16-man elimination streak that he went on. He was the one that won the Rumble. He won it at WrestleMania and whatever. The reason he's not higher on the list, because I do think it's been a massive year for Drew, is because I don't feel like he's had the quality of feuds around him. You're right, I think the AJ thing was great. I think the Randy thing went on a bit too long. He had a great feud earlier on with Seth, but then Bobby Lashley didn't really work. Dolph Ziggler one didn't really work for me. So I feel like it's been a bit of a weird year for him, and he certainly would be higher had he had a better flowing year. But in terms of someone that's gone from being sort of a mid-card person tag teaming with Dolph Ziggler as he was last year against the Shield, he's now complete main eventer, and no one could argue with that, and I think he is entertaining. I think he comes across as really charismatic.
Absolutely, yeah. The sexy Scotsman.
Scotsman.
He's great, isn't he? Yeah, he's had a really fun year. You could tell he's having a lot of fun as well, which is fantastic.
Absolutely, man. At number 3, we have our last female on the list, as alluded to earlier on. It's Bayley. Again, carried the company. We sort of said this about Sasha Banks. She really carried that company. And I think more so than Sasha, she was the one that was speaking more. And then we get that beautiful heel turn where she turns on Sasha, leading into that incredible Hell in a Cell match. I think the matches have been great, but I think more than anything, her promos have been great. And I didn't think she'd be able to carry a heel off as well as she has done. And I think that's real credit to her. And I think that the two of them have been a serious highlight of WWE this year.
Absolutely. Her heel turn was an absolute godsend for the character. I think
who would have thought it? Because her face was like, although it's doesn't necessarily appeal to us, you could see how it was perfect for kids.
Yeah, it was perfect for kids, but she's been an absolutely fantastic heel. I think she's a better heel than she is a face.
Now I do, yeah.
And
I wouldn't have said that at the start of the year, though.
No, it's reinvigorated her career, I think, and made her a much more serious title contender, much more serious champion, much more serious promo deliverer. Just all in all, Bayley has really, really shone this year.
Absolutely. At number 2 is Roman Reigns. Now, Roman could be higher. Let's be perfectly honest, because he is the best thing in WWE right now. However, and let's be honest, he's taken the top spot in WWE, which might be a spoiler to number 1 is. But anyway, he's great. He's wonderful. He's been away for such a long time. He came back as a heel. The WrestleMania thing was just sort of thrown away. Didn't turn up. Fine, great. Understand he was looking after his family. Came back at SummerSlam, and it's been fire since. Like, I have issues with the way that they film it and stuff like that, but the story has been really well done. We've been asking for a Roman Reigns heel turn for years. We finally got one, and I believe it's paying off, man. And I think these last few months, even though we have taken the full year into account, it has been that good. That's why he's so high up in the list. And I didn't ever think we'd have Roman Reigns in a top 10 list on the Gimme Whole Year podcast for Superstar of the Year.
But here we are, and it's great. And like I say, brilliant heel work. Very much like Bayley, it's really transcended and transformed, his career. And, as much as Bayley might have needed Sasha for, to build that positive heel turn, and as much as Roman's success as a heel is probably a lot attributed to, of course, Paul Heyman. The fact is that they are delivering the promos themselves. I mean, and Paul Heyman does do a lot of speaking for Roman, but when Roman speaks, it's very much a case of less is more. He looks intimidating. He looks scary. He looks like he's the head of the table. He looks like he's the tribal chief. Everything he's saying, he's backing up. Yeah. And that is something we never thought back in the Shield days and beyond as a face we would have ever seen from Roman Reigns. We respectfully, of course, to his health issues and to all the other stuff that he struggled with over the last few years, we couldn't give two monkeys about Roman Reigns last year, or any year before that.
No.
So an absolutely incredible transition and a very, very notable bit of congratulations from us in our small capacity, to Roman Reigns and to Paul Heyman, the people behind this transition for executing it so well, because WWE, let's face it, hasn't got everything right this year.
Certainly don't.
But they certainly have got right Roman Reigns' heel turn and subsequent storylines.
Absolutely agree. Dom, we've got any honourable mentions before we go for number 1?
We do. So our honourable mentions are as follows. Darby Allin has made fantastic waves as a very popular part of the AEW roster. Yeah. TNT...
current champion.
Current champion, of course, cracking matches with Chris Jericho before that, and Cody Rhodes before he won the title from him. Ricky Starks as well.
Ricky Starks, wonderful promo, yeah.
Just a great kind of underdog character, really alternative, of course. So you can see why a lot of people love him as an underdog. The second is, of course, Brody Lee, who started the year wondering what he was going to do next after WWE and after his run as Luke Harper in the WWE. Brody Lee comes in as the leader of the Dark Order.
The Vince McMahon.
The Vince McMahon, of course, yeah, the Mr. Brody, as he's called,
Yeah.
and has an absolutely stellar start to his career in AEW. And a great dog collar match with Cody, but otherwise pretty dominating showings, leading the Dark Order and creating a platform. Let's be honest, for guys like John Silver and the other entertaining parts of the being the elite videos, and also on screen talent. Dark Order have been absolutely fantastic, and that is, of course, fronted by Brody Lee. Ricky Starks is the next in here. Very much the modern day Rock, in my opinion. I can see him in movies. I can see him transitioning to mainstream culture. He is actually my pick. If anybody was to make the jump from AEW to WWE, he would be my pick, because he's very much a Vince McMahon blueprint for the perfect athlete. And I think he's had a cracking, as part of Team Taz. And, it's great to see Taz being put with these younger guys to put them over. As part of Team Taz, it's great, but obviously it's only a matter of time, I think, till Ricky Starks breaks away from that and stands on his own 2 feet. So Ricky Starks is also in there. Hangman Page, we've talked about in our previous videos, has really come into his own for me personally. I know you've seen a lot more of him on your AEW watch longs, but the character work and the drinking and the kind of the younger kind of stone cold vibe about him is very entertaining, and I think the cowboy S word thing is cool, and he's been a part. He's been a part of some of the best matches, many of the best matches in our best of the year list, which you can go and see on the channel. Hangman Page has been a huge part of a lot of matches on that list, Anthony.
He has, yeah.
We have, following that, Sammy Guevara, who is certainly a pick of mine to be very prominently featured in AEW by the end.
Sells of the year.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy in a golf cart.
The Young Bucks super kick. I've featured him in my sort of 2021 list. I think he'll be featured very prominently by AEW by the end of 2021. So you'll have to go and see what I've said about Sammy.
That's
there
coming out in a couple of days.
So Sammy's fantastic. Obviously, he learned and grew a lot from the speaking out movement and has developed from that. And the accusations made against him, and came out with public apologies and developed as a person, as a character, on screen and off screen. So we respect that ability to change and develop from him. And one of the more engaging talents across wrestling television, I think, this year. Following that, to standout female stars, first is Io Shirai from NXT, as a women's champion, has done some fantastic work, developed a great character over NXT over the last year in a somewhat barren NXT, Anthony, sort of devoid of inspiration. Io Shirai continues to kind of be a bit of a highlight.
She's held that championship for a while now, and it's in your house, didn't it? She won it off Charlotte.
Absolutely,
really good, really solid in-ring worker. Her feuds with Candice was brilliant. Matches with Shotzi, it's the best match I've ever seen from Shotzi. So absolutely, I think she deserves it in this list.
Absolutely. And now we've an AEW talent now is Hikaru Shida. You are a proud owner of Hikaru Shida's shirt, so I know you're a fan.
I do love her.
She's done some great work in AEW, and she continues to do great work. She's developing a character, developing her in-ring work, and puts on pretty engaging matches.
I think in a struggling division, she's a serious highlight. Yeah, absolutely.
I think in addition, I think as an extra add to that, I think we should, because obviously associated with the Hikaru Shida in AEW is Thunder Rosa. I'd like to quickly add in, because of her work in NWA as well as AEW. What?
You can do what you want.
Yeah, I've added in Thunder Rosa because of her work in AEW and NWA as champion, and just great, some absolutely fantastic matches from both Shida and Thunder Rosa in an AEW context. Next up, Anthony, is Walter from NXT UK, who you've seen week in and week out this year as the dominant world champion, or dominant NXT UK champion. Walter's very interesting because he's sort of stuck to his guns, even though he's very well travelled and has worked in America for numerous talents, and would have probably been snapped up by AEW or WWE in terms of a main roster if he wanted to go, but he stuck to his guns and stayed in Europe to continue to work in NXT UK, and it just shows the faith that they have in Walter to to carry that brand as the face of NXT UK, putting on some absolutely stellar matches. Of course, when's the match of the year one coming out?
It's coming out in a couple of days, but obviously the Ilya Dragunov versus Walter match will be somewhere in that list.
Yeah, absolutely.
So check that out. I think part of the reason you can't put him on this list, so and it's the same with a couple of these people, is like NXT UK had 6 months off ultimately. So had we seen more of Walter, maybe he would have been in this list. But unfortunately, they did have 6 months off, and we've got to take that into account. Cool. Is that everything, dude?
No, we've got two more.
Okay,
two more
cool.
guys. We haven't mentioned a lot of NXT this year.
No.
Across our lists, but I think one of the guys that stood out a lot has been Damian Priest. He's managed to turn you onto his work. I know you weren't.
He's got a lot better, hasn't he?
Yeah. He's got a lot better. I think he's got the skill. He's got the look that Vince loves. He's got that aesthetic. He's got the moveset as well. A very dynamic moveset for a big guy. Very much honed in Ring of Honor as Punishment Martinez, if you want to look back at his older matches. But he was really good then. And he's only served to get better. I think he could do with working on his promos or have a mouthpiece, because he's very much a big, intimidating character. But aside from that, his in-ring work tends to speak for itself. And I'm really impressed with Damian Priest this year. We have one more pick, Anthony, and the sole representative, rightly or wrongly, and please do call us out if you disagree, across our list for Impact Wrestling. This is the Motor City Machine Guns, who returned to Impact after a short time off this year to win the tag team championships, and of course feud with the Good Brothers and have numerous feuds. One of the greatest tag teams across divisions. Impact does also have a decent tag team division, not as good as AEW, of course, but yeah, Motor City Machine Guns are the standard bearers for Impact, certainly, and certainly one of the more recognized names across tag team wrestling globally anyway. A fantastic tag team, and they've put on some brilliant performances. And one of the bigger gets, because obviously Motor City Machine Guns could have taken a pick of where they wanted to go, and Alex Shelley did actually have a stint teaming with Kushida in NXT briefly. So they both decided to come back to the Motor City Machine Guns, come back to Impact, and they've had a pretty good year for themselves.
Great, man. Great. Cool. That is all the honourable mentions done for now. Again, before we reveal our number one pick, I want to hear all your picks down below. So please keep me entertained on Christmas Day while I'm just sat eating mince pies, lining them all up. Like shots of mince pies.
That sounds great. I love mince pies.
Sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? Groovy. Number one. Kenny Omega.
I was going to be like number one with a bullet.
I mean, you can still say it.
Number one with a bullet. Bang.
Cool. Yeah, Kenny Omega, man. He had... A lot of you might be thinking, oh, they're only taking the last few months into account. Oh, they're only taking this big stuff with Impact. They're taking the championship win. Not at all. You look back, and whilst at the time, I don't think we understood what Kenny was building to. But now we see what he was building to. And not only has he built himself up in a way to be the champion of AEW, absolutely, this guy that's going off to now be champion of the world or what have you. On the way to do that, he's put over so many people, had wonderful matches with people, but like dragged Adam Page and pulled him up to this level that Adam Page is at, and told this wonderful story with him, really sort of worked with him in the ring as well to sort of get his skill up. And I think that's an incredible talent to be able to do that.
Absolutely, mate.
He's that good. Not only is he working on himself, he's working with someone else, directly, and not in a feud situation, not in a I'm going to give him the rub this way. In a I'm literally next to you helping you, which I think is outstanding. And they have put on some wonderful matches. There's the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Adam Page, which was outstanding. There was the Adam Page and Omega versus Santana Ortiz, excuse me, that was outstanding. But then the breakup of Kenny and Page was done really nicely. Like, not real obvious sort of big heel turn. This is the heel turn moment. It was subtle storytelling that was done really nicely from the moment they lost them belts to FTR, which again was another really good match.
Absolutely, mate.
Then you get Kenny Omega versus Adam Page, a tournament final, not necessarily what a blood feud that these two will eventually have, which is where I think we're building up to, but outstanding. Sorry, I think Kenny Omega has been wonderful this year. I don't think we realised how good he was doing until later on in the year, and then we look back and go, actually, this was amazing. And then, of course, there's one of the biggest things that's happened. He's won the AEW Championship, which was big in itself. But he's gone to Impact. He's been part of this thing with Don Callis, playing into the New Japan roots that Kenny Omega has and his relationship with Don Callis there. Gone over to Impact. You've got the AEW Champion. You've got more people than ever, than years. For years, Impact have more people watching it because Kenny Omega has elevated it, and I think that's incredible. And
it is.
I think he's arrogant. I think I'm starting to really hate him as a character, which is great. And I think that everyone's going to really hate him in the next year. And that is the way you build this world champion who is bringing these companies together. And I think that's massive.
100%, mate. 100% agreed. People can talk about dream matches with Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, cross brand or whatever, but we have dream matches already in Impact Wrestling, with guys like Rich Swann that Kenny Omega can put over, and more importantly, of course, in AEW, he brought out the best out in Jon Moxley. He's brought the best out in numerous people on AEW's roster. Hangman Page. There's still the mouth-watering prospects of Kenny Omega versus Darby Allin, Kenny Omega versus Cody Rhodes. Even Kenny Omega versus Dustin, Kenny Omega versus Jungle Boy. Yeah. These are all mouth-watering prospects that we still haven't had yet, that we can still have. Never mind WWE and AEW crossing over. Never mind, Kenny Omega being in WWE, which obviously people want to see. We can have dream matches in 2021, Anthony, in AEW and Impact Wrestling. Kenny Omega versus EC3. It writes itself.
Yeah. And I think they are going to get other companies involved, and you get Kenny Omega versus Nick Aldis from NWA. You get Kenny,
who you can see an interview with on the channel, can't you, Anthony?
You certainly can, mate. You've got Kenny Omega versus potentially Kota Ibushi if they can get the New Japan deal through. It's massive, and this sort of cross promotion. Bear in mind, it is just Kenny at the minute. AAA, he's done it. So whilst, I just think it's very exciting, and I think that's why he rightly deserves to, and we both agreed, he rightly deserves to be number one because of the impact. Not only has he had great matches,
pun intended.
There we go, but the impact that this has created on the wrestling industry, whilst also bringing up other guys. I mean, it could be a perfect year, and he could be our number one next year. The way this is going, I mean, the story's all laid out. They just need to sort of give it time to play off, which is amazing, really amazing. Absolutely,
mate. Absolutely, so much potential for Kenny Omega, more so I would say than anybody else, which is why we've put him at the top of this list.
Absolutely. Dudes, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed your Christmas Eve little special Christmas cracker from your boys at the Gimme a Whole Year Wrestling podcast. And we hope that Santa comes down your chimney. What are you laughing at?
Nothing.
The reindeers come down. You think reindeers come down the chimney, don't you?
They can do, yeah.
They
magic.
Can't fit down the chimney.
Reindeers can come down the chimney. They're magic.
Fit down the chimney.
They're magic, man. Suspend your disbelief. What are we taught in theatre? Don't be ridiculous.
God. Because you put a carrot up the chimney, don't you?
Yeah, you feed the carrot you leave the carrots on the fireplace.
Maybe. I think. Is this what your mum used to do when you was younger?
Yeah.
I think what she was getting you to believe is that the Christmas was snorting up the chimney and snorting the carrots.
Why would you snort carrots?
Maybe it's a drug to reindeers.
Reindeers. Gotta get some of that CT.
Keratin.
Keratin.
Rock and roll. Thank you so much. We hope you all have a wonderful Christmas tomorrow, and we hope that when you wake up, you start counting down from 5.
Merry Christmas, and count down from 5 to you. Go on. I've enjoyed you doing these videos.
Wakey, baby.
Go on, you do the videos. You do the.
I mean, Jesus, Tom, I know you're tired, but let's go. You've still got a washroom to do later on. Right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah.
Go snort some carrots.
God, I just listened to this whole podcast. It was terrible. I feel like my ears are gonna bleed.
What'd you say? This is Darby Allin, and you're listening to Gimme a Oh Yeah podcast.